This episode is sponsored by Squarespace. Whether you need a domain, website, or online store, make your next move with Squarespace.
I've been posting videos on YouTube for 10 years now, and I realize that I probably have a lot to share with you that might be helpful if you're thinking of getting into this space or if you already have a channel. So in this video, I want to give you some straightforward, no-nonsense advice and give you some steps you can take to give yourself the best chance at building an audience, how I think things have changed over the last 10 years, and how I think growth really works on YouTube. So let me start by giving you some advice that I wish someone had given me when I was first starting out and trying to build an audience on YouTube. And I'm going to try and keep this simple because I don't want this video to get too long. And remember that the advice I'm going to give you is really if you're trying to play the game, if you're really trying to go for as much growth as possible. If I asked you, what is YouTube? You might answer me by saying, well, it's this platform where people make videos and they post them to share them with other people. And of course you'd be right. But what if I also told you that YouTube is actually the second biggest search engine in the world? Now, what does that mean? That means that if your average person is trying to look something up, anything really, before they go to Bing or Yahoo or any of those other dedicated search engines, they're more likely to go to YouTube to search for a video that answers the question that they have. I do it too. A few years ago, one of the headlight bulbs went out on my car, and so before taking it down to the garage and having them charge me whatever crazy amount they were going to charge me to fix it, I thought, I wonder if I can work this out myself. So the first place I went was to YouTube, and I typed in, how do I change a headlight bulb in the particular brand of car that I had? And I found a very helpful video of a guy showing me exactly what bulb I needed to go buy. I went and found that bulb and bought it. And then I propped the phone up on my car and played the video while I got in there with a screwdriver and took it apart, following his instructions, and I managed to fix that headlight myself. I didn't need to go and take it to the garage. I could do it just by following a YouTube video. That's how much of the world uses YouTube. And so you need to think, if you want to post videos onto YouTube and you want to see growth, you want those videos to be discovered, you need to be predicting what questions people are asking in that search bar and make videos that directly answer those questions. I think you can see straight away why on photography channels it's the gear reviews and the top tips which do the best, because those directly answer people who are asking questions like, how do I make my street photography better, or which camera should I buy? And then you need to make sure that in the thumbnail of your video and the title that you choose for your video, that it's clear what question you're trying to answer for people, and it gives your videos the best chance to be found. But don't stop there, because then it's important to keep your promises. Don't suggest in the title of your video that you're going to answer a question or provide some very specific information, but then in the body of your video, you don't actually get there. You shy away or you fall short of answering that question you suggest that you can answer. You may initially get a lot of views if you choose a clickbaity title for your video, but if you don't follow through on that promise, you will also say goodbye to a lot of potential subscribers who now don't trust you and so don't want to follow you through into the future. Here's a big one. Be consistent. In the look and the tone and the design of your channel, you have to come up with a language that people will instantly recognize as yours, whether they just see a thumbnail fly down their feed or if they hear a snippet of your video. They need to know immediately that it's you. It's like branding for a product. If people can identify you quickly based on just a small auditory or a visual cue, then it means that they're going to pick up faster when you release something new. You also need to work out what your release schedule for videos is going to be and try and be consistent with that too, because it creates an expectation in your audience who are waiting for that new video. I think the trick is to work out what the minimum number of videos you can do is, where no matter what's going on in your life, there is no excuse. You will always at least meet that schedule. And then that's what you promise your audience. I mean, you'll know from this channel that I have only ever promised one video a month, and most of the time that's all I've released. But even that is consistent, one video a month. And even in that sparse schedule, it's been enough to slowly build an audience over time. Then with the videos that you make, be generous. I get asked to give talks every now and again to companies who also want to start their own YouTube channels to give them advice. And what I tell them is your videos need to be 95% generosity and 5% sales. So many YouTube channels are started with the motive of trying to either promote ourselves as people or our businesses and our services. And the problem with that is when people watch those videos, they're not fooled and they do feel like ads. And nobody is going to subscribe to a channel which just feels like thinly veiled advertising. You need to make sure that you're giving undeniable value to your viewers and that any sales is just a small point given at the end of a great deal of helpful and inspiring free information. And then photographers in particular, don't claim you're going to teach something unless you're actually willing to teach it all. I see so many photographers who claim they're going to do a tutorial showing you their techniques for X or Y, but as you watch it, you realize that they're holding back at least half the information because they don't actually want you to know all their techniques for what they do. Personally, I don't make tutorials unless I'm willing to give you all the information I have. So when I've done videos on corporate headshots or how to shoot products in a studio or my retouching series, which gives you 6 videos in sequence, that's all I know about those subjects, and they are the techniques that I use in their totality. I don't make videos with titles that claim I'm going to teach you a technique, but then just give you a little taster and tell you that you have to buy my book or pay me money and come on my workshop, and then I'll give you all the techniques so you can do it yourself. Don't be that person. Nobody's fooled, and in the process of making those sort of videos, you will burn your reputation. So that's some of the practical advice that I wish I had when I was starting out. Make sure you're making videos that actually answer questions that people are asking. Keep your promises, and then when you put those videos out, make sure that you're consistent and that you're generous with those videos. But I also want to talk to you about how YouTube has changed over the years so that you know what to expect. You hear a lot of people saying that it's much harder to start a YouTube channel in 2025. And after 10 years of doing this, I can tell you that you're absolutely right. I'm not saying any of this to discourage you, just the opposite. I want you to set your expectations correctly and not give yourself a hard time when you're starting out by comparing yourself to bigger channels that started long before you did. Rather than just make that statement, I want to point you to a really interesting talk I heard last year by Jack Conte, who's the CEO of Patreon, and the title of his talk was The Death of the Follower. I'm going to link it in the description down below, but the thesis behind his talk is this. When it comes to the internet as we know it, it's been through a few different eras, and if we start from 1991 and go through to about 2004, we have the Web 1.0 era. And this is defined by our ability to post things onto the internet, but by and large, when we interact with that information, it was just read only. We couldn't feed back to people, and there was no dialogue between us and the people that were posting. Then in 2004, at the same time as Facebook was released to the world, we entered the Web 2.0 era, and YouTube was released very shortly after this. And the difference here was that now we had abilities not just to post things, but to look at what other people have posted, and we were given things like buttons and comment sections, and crucially for us, when what we're talking about here, subscribe buttons, which gave us as creators the opportunity for the first time to build our own audiences on the internet. However, since those early days when we were given this promise that we would be able to have direct access to our audience that we built for ourselves, those platforms started to incrementally take away our ability to reach them. At the dawn of Web 2.0, you could hit the subscribe button to someone's channel and you knew that their videos would come down your feed. You'd see them on your homepage. But then that got taken away. And then you also had to hit a bell notification to make sure that they would also come down your feed. And these days, we all know that it doesn't matter how many buttons you click, you will often not see the videos that you subscribe to unless you go and look for them manually in your subscription feed rather than your homepage, which none of us do. We're in a new era now where all these platforms are heavily handled by pretty aggressive algorithms, and especially since TikTok came around and was so successful in keeping people on platform by just showing them what their short-term attention span wanted to see and what they were interested in just that day. All these other platforms took notice and started to adjust their algorithms to match. So you'll notice now that when you watch YouTube, you won't see the stuff that you're subscribed to come down your homepage very often. And instead, what YouTube does is it just shows you videos based on your most recent searches and your most recent interests in the hope that they can use that trick to keep you on YouTube for as long as possible. I regularly meet people who say to me, "It's so sad that you don't post on YouTube anymore, Sean." And I have to say, "No, I do." And they say, "But I just never see your videos coming down my home feed." And I have to explain exactly this to them. You need to make an effort to keep up with those channels that you love these days. And of course, it's frustrating for those of us who've taken all these years to build this channel to the size that it is, that we just don't feel that we can even reach our own audience anymore. All this to say that yes, you're right. It is harder to build an audience on YouTube now than it's been at any point. But don't let that put you off, because it is still possible to build that audience, and it is still worth giving it a try to start a channel and seeing how far you can go with it. But because we're in that death of the follower era now, you're just going to need to set your expectations and find more creative ways to reach your audience and stay engaged with them outside of the YouTube algorithm. So let's talk about growth. And just a fair warning here that what I'm about to share with you is completely my theory. I have no conclusive proof of this, and obviously I don't know what YouTube's algorithm is. It's a closely guarded secret. We will never know those details. These are just patterns that I think I picked up. My theory is that YouTube channels grow roughly on a 5-year cycle, and if you plotted it out on a curve, it would look something like this. In that first year, you see very little growth because YouTube's waiting around to see if you're actually serious. We all know that so many people start on YouTube and they post 2 or 3 videos and then they get discouraged and just abandon the channel altogether. From YouTube's perspective, there is no incentive for them to promote that channel because they don't know if you're consistent and committed to what you're doing. However, if you post consistently for around that year, I think the algorithm notices that you're sticking around and it starts to promote your videos more. And you'll likely feel that little boost. Years 2, 3, and 4 are pretty much the golden years of growing that audience on YouTube, where more people are coming in, your subscriber numbers are growing, there's buzz around your content, your engagement is high. But then something happens at around that year 5 mark, where you feel that boost from the algorithm start to die away and your growth begins to plateau. If you keep going and posting consistently, your channel will still grow. It'll just be much slower growth than it was in those years 2, 3, 4, and maybe 5. Disturbingly for many at that point, you'll also notice that your views on your videos are only around 5 to 10% of that subscriber number that you built for yourself. If you want to check this out, just go look at your favorite YouTube channels who've been around there for a while and you'll see what I'm talking about. And of course, everything that I'm telling you, these timescales will vary slightly, but I've seen this pattern over and over again. Here's why I tell you this, because if I'm right about this growth curve, roughly speaking, that means that it's algorithmically driven. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so ubiquitous. Human behavior is very varied, so we wouldn't see this pattern repeat again and again unless it comes from an algorithm. Now, there's good news and bad news about that. The bad news is that it just shows us that we have very little control over the growth of our own channels. At the end of the day, we're posting these videos to YouTube. We don't own YouTube. Most of us don't even pay for the service, and they will always make decisions behind the scenes that suit them best and not us. In which case, in many ways, we're just along for the ride. But the good news is sort of the same, really. We don't have any control. And at the risk of invoking the Stoics yet again on this channel, we're going to be in a much healthier space with much better expectations if we admit to ourselves what we have control over and what we don't. We can't make our channels grow bigger and faster. All we can do is make the very best videos for our audience that we can and try and capitalize on that year 2 to year 4 window. I'll be honest, I battled for a minute when I hit that 5-year point and saw that growth start to slow off, and I was tempted to give myself a hard time as if I must be doing something wrong. And it really helped me to get honest with myself and remind myself that that growth was never in my control in the first place, and instead practice gratitude for the audience that I actually have and get back to making the very best videos for them that I can. So, whether you already have a YouTube channel out there or you're thinking of starting one, good for you. I genuinely think YouTube is a gift. It's a fantastic platform for those of us who want to go and teach ourselves pretty much anything. I mean, I taught myself photography entirely on YouTube. Or for those of us who feel like we have things that we want to say that are important to share with the world. YouTube is a great place to be able to do that. I'm not one of those people who's going to jump on the bandwagon and denigrate all social media or suggest that it's somehow all evil. Personally, I think all social media does is highlight our human nature that was there all along. And then think about this. Artists and communicators throughout history would have given an arm and a leg for the opportunity to make something or say something, and with one press of a button be able to share that work with someone on the other side of the world in seconds, someone they may never meet. But we also know that social media can be a double-edged sword because most of these platforms gamify our experience with them and attach numbers to the things we share there. Numbers in the forms of likes or views or comments or subscribers, and a quest to make those numbers as high as possible will lead us off track. I've said it before on this channel, I'll say it again, popularity does not equal mastery. And the sooner you can start to put that quest for more numbers out of your head, the sooner you will make better work and you'll enjoy the process more as well. And don't do it for the money either, because YouTube isn't nearly as lucrative as it used to be. And I'll use myself as an example. So I have a channel that has around 600,000 subscribers. I have around 180 videos out there, all of which have ads on them. So they're all being found and they're generating little bits of revenue. So how much money do you think I made this month in ad revenue? £472.95. And some of that is to do with the fact that I refuse to put mid-roll ads on any of my videos because I think it ruins the viewing experience. Now, that's not no money, but it's not enough money to live off in the UK. So I can't sustain myself on that. I still need to build an entire business outside of YouTube that sustains me so I can keep doing this. So whether you're thinking of starting a channel or you already have one, but you're getting a bit down by the lack of performance, my best advice to you is focus on your message and making the very best videos you can, because it's the only thing in your control. Work on finding your voice and stick to talking about the things that you're really passionate about, and hold your nerve through those inevitable ups and downs, because you will eventually find your audience. There are no guarantees about how big that audience will be, so all you can do is make the very best work you can, and don't take it personally if less people come to your channel than you thought would. And don't feel bad about yourself if that algorithm starts to die off and doesn't push your work as much as it used to, because it's not in your control. Don't give yourself a hard time. Don't immediately think, I must have messed up or made a mistake, because that's usually not the case. Putting yourself out there online in videos takes no small amount of courage and a lot of vulnerability. So give yourself the credit for at least finding that courage to share your work with the world like that and opening yourself up to criticism. That makes you a brave person at least. And then let yourself off the hook for all those results that you expected that were never in your hands in the first place. So keep going, and if you found the advice I've given you in this video helpful, do those things. Make sure that you make videos that answer questions people are asking, keep your promises, and put work out there consistently and that people feel is valuable and generous. And then don't chase the numbers, don't chase subscribers, don't try and work out how to get more likes or hack the algorithm, and don't chase the money, because all that is fickle stuff. I know for me that if this whole thing disappeared tomorrow, I would always be grateful for this 10 years I had to talk to you about things which I thought were important and hopefully that you found helpful. And until that day comes when I have to move on to something else, I will keep making the very best videos I can for this channel and being grateful for the audience that I have. And I hope for that same attitude for you, because you'll be a happier person through this process if you can find that sweet spot. I wish you the very best of luck. Just before I go, I want to remind you that if you want to support this channel, the best way you can do that is by picking up a copy of my Parable magazine. And these are magazines that feature photography and writing around a theme. This is the latest, it's volume 6, called Merely Players. And throughout the magazine, I am showing images of some of the more colorful characters I've found on the street over the years. And in the writing, I talk about my approach to this sort of street photography and capturing those images, and also talking about the characters we play in our own lives and how we can play those parts well. Each magazine is available both as a physical copy, A4 size on beautiful uncoated matte paper, or as a digital version, which is a PDF and an MP3 file of me reading the magazine to you. I'll leave a link down in the description so you can go along and grab a copy. And then lastly, thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this episode. If you need a website or a domain, they're a fantastic option. I've used them myself as my website of choice for over a decade now. I started my photography website back in 2013, and I knew a couple of things. One was that I wanted to run it myself. I didn't want to pay a website coder to design the whole thing and then have to pay them every time I wanted to make small changes. I wanted to manage the whole thing myself. And the other thing was that I wanted the design of the website to be very clean and minimalist so that it was my work doing the talking. When I found Squarespace, it was the perfect solution because all their templates were that very clean, minimalist design put together by professional designers, and they were super easy to use myself. And in the back end, I could just drag in text blocks and image blocks and galleries and videos and contact sheets and even build myself a store, and I could see exactly what I was doing. It was very intuitive to use. It couldn't have been simpler.
Start your free trial today at squarespace.com and go to squarespace.com/Sean Tucker to get 10% off your first purchase.